Yo guys, it's Vin, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about 3 weapons that I think are extremely good in the new 5.11 balance patch, and then I'm going to be showing you some things that I think you should be abusing a lot when you play these weapons. And also, this is not necessarily what I think are the best weapons in the game, because, I mean, one, it's literally been a week since the patch was released, so I don't know what the best weapons are yet, and also, I just kind of want to talk about some of these, especially the last one. Anyway, now the first one I want to talk about is bow. In my opinion, Bo really has no losing matchups in this game. I mean, Qatar's is probably its main competition just because of how many moves you can throw out. However, Qatar's did get nerfed a little bit last patch, so that's a very good thing for Bo. Sidelight is one of the most abusable things in the game, at least what I think, just because it has literally no end lag, and you can do sidelight into backdash over and over again, and I'm not saying that you should be doing this all the time, but it is an option. If you miss a sidelight, you can very easily just jump out of it because your recovery frames are non-existent. Think of it like a sword end light, basically. Not really, but not because of the way the move works, but the way the move hits, it hits right here, you hit a sidelight, and now it sets up into reeds and strings. D-light, you can literally punish any whiff in the entire game, and it combos into everything. If you have 6 decks or higher, you can combo D-light into ground pound, true. And when I say you can punish literally any whiff in the game, I seriously mean that. Look how much distance this covers. If you're not taking advantage of D-Light as a bow player, you're doing something wrong. If somebody whiffs on the other side of the stage, weapons like, I don't know, hammer or axe may not be able to punish it because they're slower, but this is instant. Endlight is a literally free anti-air. It still hits grounded for some reason and stacked, and if someone's in the air, you literally just follow them at Endlight. GC Endlight is also a very free option. This is something that you should be taking advantage of because, no startup, no recovery. If you throw out a GC Endlight, it's basically unpunishable because they're in the air, they have to come back to the ground, so they're going to avoid you anyway, and you just drift away. Okay, the next thing is Nair. Nair is really similar to Endlight because if somebody is falling from the air, it's really hard to land on top of a good bow player because they can just follow you, like I said, in Endlight, and when they go to avoid the Endlight, they go above you, so you just jump Nair, or, if they drift outwards, you just follow them in Endlight, or you follow them in Nair. It doesn't really matter. They nerfed Nair a little bit ago, just because, they nerfed, its damage or something, but this doesn't really fix anything that's really broken about the weapon, in my opinion, because Nair, look how much drift this move has, right? You can drift this move so much if you use fastballs with it and just it's a 360-degree hitbox, right? So you can just fall on somebody in Nair and it's a free option. It has almost no end lag. It's literally instant. It's extremely good and extremely abusable. Especially if you're playing a high dex legend like Koji, you should be using Nair a lot. Nair and Endlight are your best friends. Okay, the next one is Sair. Now, Sair is a core combo out of D-Light. It's extremely fast, and, D-Light, because of D-Light, they're not going to be nerfing or reworking Bo's moves anytime soon. Bo is always going to be able to control the stage very well just because of D-Light and Endlight. And once you D-Light Sair them off stage, now you're actually in a better position because you send them into an edge guard situation, and Bo, in my opinion, is one of the easiest, maybe not easiest, but one of the best weapons to edgeguard with. Just because Sair spikes them downwards, and you have Dare as well. If you want a higher risk, higher reward option, use Dare. So basically the strategy is you send them off stage, you trace their movement, you follow their height, they go up, you go up with them, and you Sair. If you can confirm it, you can Dare too, and this spikes them extremely hard at a 45-degree angle downwards, and this is literally like an upside down Endlight because it's a really thin hitbox and has really good force. If you catch this on orange off stage, this is literally the stock. On the edge, you can even just Dare right here. This is something that's extremely abusable, especially a lot of people don't know that if you Dare on the edge like that and the bottom part of that hitbox catches them, that will still spike, which is broken. But even on stage, if you hit it as on the floor, this is a very good option in my opinion. I use it a lot. Dash jump Dare is very, very good for approaching if you know your opponent is going to throw out a move in front of you. I wouldn't recommend just falling on them and daring. Not really. I mean, Dare has a very long hitbox, but it gets predictable after a while, at least in my experience. Approaching with dash jump Dare, pretty good. Don't do it every time though. Now, recovery, you guys know how good recovery is. If you just go off stage and recovery like this, you catch anyone on the wall. It strings out of Endlight. So you go like this, and even on legends like Azoth, you can do GC side sig after, or on Kaya, you can do GC end sig after. That is very, very strong, and that won't change anytime soon. Now, ground pound. On the same note as edge guarding, ground pound has amazing force, and this will kill an orange. In my opinion, they should be nerfing this, but they haven't. So, if you can confirm an edge guard, so let's say you use your stairs and dares, all they have left is a dodge, and they're going back to the wall. You just fall down and ground pound. It's extremely simple. Okay, so that's pretty much everything I thought is like really good about Bo, and I know I literally just listed the entire kit, but that's because that's just how good I think Bo is right now. But let's just get into some legend picks. Now, Bo's main weakness is killing, so you're going to be wanting legends with Sigs that can kill, or ideally a secondary weapon that's very good at killing. And there are two legends that I think that fit that criteria extremely well, and maybe a third honorable mention. The first one is Koji. Koji has absolutely busted Sigs. He got nerfed last patch, his D-Sig, and his sword, or sword in general, but it's okay because this move is still transcends brawlhalla. Side Sig has a lot of range. Something that's very good about Koji that not a lot of people use is that this momentum that you get with a side sig, it carries on even though you do like a dash. This is kind of like a little weird X pivot. It's not really, but something you can do to surprise people is you're going like this, you dash away, and then you turn around with a side sig. This is very, very good. Like I said, it's good for catching landings. Another thing that's good for catching landings on Koji's kit is N-Sig. This has so much vertical range. You can literally follow people and N-Sig, N-Light, N-Sig, N-Light. And when they return to the ground, you can side sig or D-Light or whatever. Koji has literally no dead zone. You need to take advantage of this. Not to mention, his sword is really broken too. This... Oh, not that. This, still a thing. Works on all healths. You don't even need momentum. You need to hit the D-Light fairly close. D-Light, N-Sig, 40 damage true combo. Broken. I forgot to mention that D-Light N-Sig is unjumpable on Koji. It's one frame ideally, so it's a good kill confirm if they have no dodge. And, you know, sword in general is just really good at killing. Okay, the next one is Azoth. I'm not going to talk too much about him because I talk about him all the time. He's my main. But Azoth is broken. Like how Koji has no dead zone, Azoth has just infinite coverage. You can side sig and cover the entire ledge for free. This has a lot of active frames, so if they run into it, they're going to get hit, and it has amazing force, so it'll literally kill them in orange. Things like GC side sig are really good for killing, which again, Bo is really bad at, so you should be using this. But don't sleep on D-Sig either. D-Sig's very good for covering stack. You even step away, so this is very safe. Something I do that I don't see a lot of people do is if you whiff a move, instead of spot dodging, you literally just D-Sig and it covers you. It's really funny. N-Sig is pretty good too. It's like busted N-Light. It just N-Light with more range and a second hitbox. And, not to mention, he has an Axe. Axe is really good right now. As you'll see in a second, spoiler alert, but his Axe is pretty good at killing. It's not the best at killing, of course, because it doesn't have a really consistent combo starter that kills. However, it's pretty good. Not to mention that, you know, he has Sigs that kill really easily. This is like better Bryn and Sig in my opinion, just because it's so quick. D-Sig, broken. You can GC this too, just like you can GC side Sig, and Axe side Sig is okay. It's very good for catching your opponent off guard. One honorable mention is Yumiko. Now, I don't think Yumiko is very good because she herself is very good. I think it's just because she has a hammer, which I think is one of the best weapons in the game right now. Her hammer zig's very good. Very unique, very cool. I cannot hit this for some reason, but yeah, Yumiko is extremely good. The only thing holding her back is her stats, and in my opinion, her bow sigs, which they kind of suck. D-Sig is okay. G-Seed, side sig has no priority. You're gonna get beat out a lot. N-Sig is okay. You can have a lot of movement off stage with this, but I don't know. Yumiko, if you're really serious about playing bow, I would consider Koji or Azoth way before her. But if you like hammer too, Yumiko's a good pick. Next up, Axe. Now, Axe hasn't been buffed in literally ever, but the reason why I think it's so good, especially this patch, is because some of its main competition, just like bow, the main competition like guitars or gauntlets, got nerfed. And I think that puts Axe in a really good spot, especially because moves like N-Light and D-Light exist. We'll talk about that in a second. Now, Axe, Side Light is your main combo starter. It combos into Side Light and Air. But in my opinion, this isn't really what you should be abusing on the ground. Now, just like Bow, Axe is very good at covering ground space. However, it's not because of Side Light. In my opinion, it's because of N-Light and D-Light. This is literally instant. And, not to mention, it wakes up into D-Light. So what you can essentially do is walk over the stage and just start N-Lighting and D-Lighting, and you don't even have to walk to them. They can walk to you and just wait for them to come. If they approach you from the air, D-Light. If they just run at you, you N-Light. Of course, if they have a weapon like bow, which has more range, you're going to be having to mix up with jumps. You're going to be having to move a little bit more, but the concept still stays. This is extremely broken, in my opinion. You need to take advantage of this before they nerf these moves to where they can't do this anymore. Okay, the next thing is Dare. Now, you guys already know how stupid Dare is. I know every single Axe player in the universe loves this move for fair reason. I mean, it has a true combo. It's very strong. I mean, maybe not damage-wise, but it's very useful. It's very safe. You can drift away. You can run to them, drift away, and Dare. That's extremely hard to punish if your opponent isn't ready for it. But that's the thing. If you keep spamming Dares, your opponent's going to catch on to it very easily, and if they have an anti-air, they're just going to snipe you out when you're trying to set up for it. That's why, in my opinion, you should really mainly just be staying on the ground and using N lights and D lights. If you know your opponent has a dead zone like Hammer cannot cover diagonal angles or whatever, so you can fall on them and Dare for free. However, if you're fighting weapon like bow, they'll just snipe you out. But, you know, Dare is very good. It's extremely safe if you use it right, and you should be taking advantage of it and you should learn how to take advantage of it, excuse me, because I know they're going to nerf N-Light and D-Light, and you can't only rely on them in future patches. Okay, guys, the next one is Nair. Now, look at this move. All right, guys, look at the hitbox. This is ridiculous. This should not exist. I know they're going to be nerfing this in some regard next patch, so you should abuse this while it's still in the game. Nair has so much drift. Look how much drift this has, right? I can go Nair and then drift away, just like bow Nair. They're going to be nerfing that next patch too, at least I predict. I hope they do, honestly. It's really stupid getting hit by Nairs, because this is super safe and it does like 20 damage. If an Axe player catches you in the air, they can just throw these out for free and there's nothing you can do about it. In fact, Nair has so much drift that a lot of people think that you can only do side light Nair like there, but you can actually do a side light and then drift away like this to catch a Nair really close, which is really good for setting up, because the closer you hit the Nair, the easier it is to get follow-ups like that off the platform or with GCs. Also, Nair is really good off edge, just because, okay, look at this hitbox. This, because of how line of sight works, this will actually catch your opponent, so it's very, very difficult to edge guard someone who's just spamming Nairs on the edge like this. Especially over here, if someone's off stage with you, you kind of just Nair. I'll skip Sarah for a second and go to recovery and ground pound. These are circle moves. Everybody knows how broken these are. Maybe not broken because they're overpowered, but broken because of how the hitbox works. You can sidelight Nair, recovery, and that catches a million dodges. Sidelight Nair, ground pound, that catches a million dodges. Especially off the edge, you'd be surprised how many people, even in Diamond, will just fall for your recovery. Especially if you send them off stage with like a Sarah or something, you just trace them off and then follow them back with a recovery, or you can just dash jump ground pound. Again, this is not really something, this is not the most optimal thing to do. It's just something that is extremely easy and extremely abusable, especially in lower ranks. I swear to God, if you just pick up an axe and start mashing your circle moves off edge, you're going to be getting somewhere, at least. And now on to Sair. Now, Sair is your main killing move. This is what you're going to be looking for quite a lot if you're an Axe player. However, Sair isn't really the best move in the game because it's pretty punishable if you whiff. See how if I like do this, I'm kind of just like stuck in place before you have like, yeah, I can't do anything for a pretty long time. However, it does have a lot of active frames and a pretty stupid hitbox. This top part of Sair is really annoying to get hit by. It has 3 frames right there where it's just active, and that will catch people and hit them in really dumb places. Something, if you watch Snowy, he'll do is mix up on platforms quite a lot. And this is extremely good. If you're not doing this every single time, you might want to consider just moving on the platform just so you can do things like that. You know, if you're falling down and staring every single time, Axe is probably one of the worst weapons in the game just because it's so calculated, it's so telegraphed. But if you're being smart about it and you abuse your N-lights and D-lights, and occasionally when you're in the air you fall down and Sair, or you do things like that, you're in a good spot with Axe. Alright, let's talk a little bit about legend picks. Now, I think the entire Axe Legend roster is really good, so I could say the entire roster, but I'm not going to. I'm going to pick just a few. Azoth, we already talked about him, so we're going to skip him for now, but Brynn. Brynn, look at this N-Sig. That will kill in 150, whereas a side air doesn't. You have a lot of options to kill people. Her spear sigs are also broken. I mean, Axe side sig, really good too, has a lot of force. D-sig has a lot of force. I wouldn't really recommend using D-sig that often, or even a side sig that often. I think N-sig is the main one you should be using, just because of how quick it is, and how it's pretty difficult to punish if you use it in the right scenario. However, her spear sigs are also really good too. Side Sig, it's really hard to punish just because she is in the air. End Sig is a confirm if they have no dodge out of D-Light, and D-Sig used to be a lot more broken than it was, but it is a 360 degree hitbox, and it's very good to throw out, especially because Spear doesn't really have that many good stacked options. Okay, the next one is Jala. Now Jala, in my opinion, has some of the best axe sigs in the game. This cover is really good out of Sidelight. It covers really good out of Nair. She has a side sig, it's pretty slow, but it hits low, so you can GC with it. D-Sig is a great stacked option, not to mention, it can be hard to kill with axe sometimes. She has a sword, which is really dumb. You can even confirm things with D-Light into N-Sig. You can side sig to catch people off guard. This has X pivot potential. D-Sig, broken. It's like boosted D-Light. So anyway, the next one, let's just move on. I'm just gonna rapid fire because there's a lot of Axe Legends. I don't want the video to be amazingly long. Rayman just got nerfed, but in my opinion, he's still broken. That just killed the guy. N-Sig is great for transportation. So he's a really mobile axe kit that you should be abusing. Side Sig, recovery frames on miss got nerfed, but I don't think it was enough. Look how little recovery I have. D-Sig, you all know D-Sig. I'm not even gonna talk about it too much. It got nerfed, but it's still very unreactable if your opponent isn't expecting it. Gauntlets got nerfed as well, but in my opinion, they're still very strong. 3 pieces removed, of course, but it's fine. I mean, D-Sig is something really dumb. In lower ranks, people are just going to be running to this a lot. It's not really the best thing to do, like a lot of things in this video, but it's very strong on the edge. And his side sig and N-Sig got buffed, so you should be using these quite a bit too. Okay, guys, I don't think this is any surprise. Terrace. He has a 360 degree hitbox. This got nerfed, but I mean, like who cares? It's 360 degrees. Side sig is like whatever. It's pretty slow, but it has so much force. If you hit this, they are going to die. N-Sig is cheese. If you catch it off stage, they're dying. Not to mention, just like Jala, he has a weapon that's very good at killing. He has a hammer. Side sig, broken. This is also a great mix-up. D-Sig is okay. It has like not that much startup, but it does a million damage if you catch it. And N-Sig, technically it got nerfed because it doesn't true combo into D-Light anymore, but it has a damage buff, so it's okay. It does 24 damage if you catch it. It's a great anti-air. It's extremely free to throw out. And yeah, not to mention you can even wake up after with an N-Light. Alright guys, my third and final pick is Orb. Now let me just remind you right now, this is not what I think are the top 3 weapons in the game. I'm just talking about them because I think they're extremely good right now and you should try them if you haven't already. But why am I talking about Orb? There's a bunch of different weapons I could have chosen. I could have chosen Scythe, I could have chosen Hammer. I could have chosen Sword. Now, Orb is widely regarded as the worst sword. Even after the nerfs, I don't think the nerfs did enough. I think there's a lot to be left. There's a lot to be desired with them, with Sword. So I still think Sword is better than Orb, but why am I not talking about Sword then? Well, everyone's going to be talking about it. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to regurgitate information. It's going to get really boring really quick, so let's talk about something different. Orb has quite a lot of things that you can abuse with it. I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty just because I don't main the weapon anymore. I used to, though. So the main 2 things I think you should be abusing on the ground are N-Light and D-Light. D-Light is something that Sword doesn't have. D-Light is a true combo starter that is also an anti-air. It has multiple hitboxes. If you catch the bottom one, you can do a D-Light Nair True. At later health, you can do a D-Light Jump Side Air as a true kill combo with an anti-air, which is absolutely amazing. And if you catch this top part, you can kind of like juggle people with Nairs and stuff. We'll talk about that in a second. Anyway, D-Light is a great approach option. On the other hand, you have N-Light. N-Light is really good for just checking people. If someone is over moving, something that you can do really well is just walk up to them and N-Light. It has good active frames, good hitbox, it hits stacked, obviously. But also it strings really well into itself. So you can do N-Light, into D-Light, into Nair. That is a string I go for a lot. It's very similar to Spear players. It's a good form of conditioning. Let's say you do an N-Light and they don't jump after the first one. You just keep doing N-Lights until they jump. And once they start jumping, then you can go for the D-Light. And it's really strong. Now, the other grounded move is Sidelight. Sidelight is something I see a lot of beginner Orb players just kind of throw out for no reason. And let me just tell you right here, if you're going to dash Sidelight, I would personally rather dash D-Light. And if they're right in front, if they're far away from you, and if they're right in front of you, I would rather dash Endlights rather than dash Sidelight. That is if they don't whiff. If they do whiff, then by all means, go for a Sidelight. I still think D-Light is a good option there, but again, you always want to be punishing with your true combo starters or your strength starters or like, yeah, basically your true combo starters if you have them. And if they whiff, Sidelight is amazing. It catches really low, just like Sword D-Light. GC, Sidelight, Sair is a great string that you can use. Okay guys, now let's talk about the Orb Aerial Kit. Orb Nair, let's just start with this one. It's a great juggling tool. Look how quick this move is. Not to mention, you can drift it. It got nerfed a few patches a while ago, but the concept still stands that even though you may not be able to get as many consistent follow-ups, like before you could be able to do this all in Jumble Ball, I believe, but now it's a bunch of dodge frames. Nair, despite not being able to get as many consistent follow-ups, you can still just Nair into Nair over and over again if you're just really good at tracing their movement. And when they fall past you, you can use a Dare. Now, Dare is possibly one of the best light attacks in the game. Not even just because of the move itself, but because of how it's designed and how much complexity it has. Everyone talks about active input and how it adds complexity, but I feel like people are really sleeping on Orb Dare recently. It got nerfed, yes, a few patches ago, but look at this. You can drop down on the ground with your Dare and just throw the orb over the edge for a super safe edge guard. Not to mention, you can just do normal dares. This covers like the entire approach if someone's going straight towards you. This. Endlight, if they go right into you, Endlight. And then you dare. And then you Endlight. And then, when you feel like you want to go off stage, you mix up, you just turn around and start daring the wall. Like, how are you going to get past this? This is like Cannon. Cannon does the same thing where if you go on the ground like this, it'll bounce off. But on the wall, it doesn't work. The Cannon won't work like this. But Orb does. So this is definitely something you should abuse. This is some of the easiest edge guard. Like if you find bow edge guards really easy, then I swear you're going to find Orb edge guards even easier. Not to mention that you also have a ground pound, which I don't think is amazing, but it's very safe. Look how disjointed that hitbox is. It's actually crazy. Mixing in dares and ground pounds are very good on the edge. Anyway, another thing that you can do with the Orb Aerial Kit is Sair, and drifting Sair. Now, they nerfed Sair a little bit ago, but it doesn't really change the fact that look how much I can just like zip around the stage with this character. It's actually disgusting. Sidelight Sair is a true kill confirm. It's something that Sword has and it can do probably better with D-Light recovery, but it's okay because Orb is really quick, has a lot of string potential with Endlight. I mean, so does Sword, but this weapon is basically an auto combo weapon. You can kind of just throw out Endlights, throw out D-Lights over and over again, things like that. And yeah, see how easy that is? Some other things that are very abusable are recoveries. Recovery catches so many options. Something I don't really hear people talking about is Exhausted Recovery. Exhausted Recovery doesn't have that much distance, but it still has like the same active frames. I'm not sure how many Orb players actually use this. If you're an Orb player in the comments, just tell me, do you think Exhausted Recovery is good? I personally think it's good, but you know, that's just my opinion. Recovery covers a lot of options. Definitely, I would recommend you use this quite a lot, especially when juggling. It's just like Sword. You nair, and then when you find you want to mix up, you can recovery. Alright guys, that's pretty much everything I wanted to say for the video. Definitely, I am not an Orb main right now. I only started playing the weapon again a few days ago just for the video, so I knew my stuff. However, if you're an Orb main in the comments, definitely tell me if I missed anything. But let's get into some legend picks. Now, there's only 5 Orb legends in the game, but what's funny is I think that they're all really good, literally. The best one, of course, is going to be Fate. Well, Orb Sigs, of course. Fate, Orb, and Sig is a confirm out if they have no dodge. Sidelight Ensig is confirmed. It's even on its own, Ensig has a lot of force. It'll kill in literally orange, especially if you hit the very top end of the Sig. It's very, very strong. You should be spamming this move quite a bit. Another move that you can spam is Side Sig. Side Sig literally has active input. It actually lifts you off the ground, so you're pretty safe from some grounded attacks, and you can... Some people, you'll literally just Side Sig at them, and they won't know what to do. It's pretty funny. D-Sig got nerfed. I personally don't use this Sig as much anymore. If I see an opportunity to D-Sig, I'd rather just Endlight unless they're on red and I can confirm it. But anyway, that's pretty much all I want to say for Fate. Hurt Scythe is also pretty bad. However, it is a Scythe, and I think Scythe is very strong right now. So, you know, if you're into stringing, Fate is very good. Her counterpart is Petra, I'd say. Petra is extremely, extremely good, arguably better. I think Gauntlets is very good right now, even after the nerf. Petra has okay orb sigs, I would say. This sig is underrated, I would say. It puts a lot of pressure on the edge. Not to mention you can orb there or whatever. This is a good projectile. It's very similar to Rayman Gauntlets sigs because there's only two variants. You either get the short version or you get the long version. There's no like proportional charge time. Orb Ensig is very good. I believe this is also a confirm. Let's see. Yeah, that's also a confirm out of Sidelight, so you can definitely go for that if they have no dodge. Kill very, very early. Not to mention, she has like literally the best Gauntlet Sigs in the game. You just Sidelight, you Ensig a lot, it hits grounded. You can side sig like this. This is literally instant. And yeah, another very good Orb Legend is... where is he? Thor. I think Thor might have like top tier 2v2 potential. Again, I mean, he always does. There's always a Thor meta eventually. However, I think he's especially strong right now because gauntlets and katars are nerfed. So hammer is in a very good spot. Of course, orb is a string weapon. So you're going to want to be... you're going to want to build damage with it. And then when you have the ability, you pick up hammer and then you start doing things like this. And you just kill them. Not to mention that his orb... Ensig, it used to be very good for just stalling on the edge. You can't really do it as much anymore, but you know, it offers a lot of mobility for the kit, so it's very hard to kill you, especially with your stats. You have like a million defense anyway. Okay, I'm not really going to talk too much about Dusk or Reno, mainly because I don't really play them very much, but you know, I just want to mention that Orb Ensig is also a confirm out of Sidelight. A lot of the Orb Legends have that. This Sig is actually better than people think it is, and so is this Sig. This Sig is very safe over the edge. It adds even more edge guarding capabilities than normal on Orb, so that's pretty cool. Alright guys, that's pretty much everything I wanted to say for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, just a reminder, this is not what I think are the top 3 weapons in the game. The patch has only been out for like a week, so I literally don't know what are the top 3 weapons. These are just some things I wanted to talk about. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks guys again, and I'll see you next time. Bye!